getting rid of the gaseous waste. That's very important. And along with that, the action of moving air in, the inhalation or inspiration, and moving air out of the body, exhalation or expiration. That's very important as well. It's part of it. Also, the lungs, etc., protect the body from dehydration, temperature fluctuations, and the entrance of pathogens. It's not, of course, just the lungs. It's a lot of the upper respiratory parts. And in addition to the lower respiratory parts, are participating in this. Dehydration, the losing of fluids, it doesn't just happen through sweat. You can lose fluids after after all, it's an entrance, exit in the body. The temperature fluctuations, you don't want to have cold air coming in. Let's say you were in a very cold part of the earth. You're in the Arctic and you're breathing in air that is below freezing. That will be harmful to your body. So every time you breathe in air, your respiratory tract is warming that air and moistening that air so it's not harsh to your body. And of course, the entrance of pathogens, you don't want bacteria and viruses that you're inhaling to constantly invade your cells. So the majority of that stuff that the average person inhales is not going to attack the tissues because the respiratory tract and the respiratory system is defending your body. And of course, producing sounds, vocalization. I'm doing it right now. When I expel air across my vocal cords and I manipulate them in addition to my mouth, tongue, etc., you're going to hear speech. So when it comes to the breakdown of what's in the respiratory tract, we can look at the upper respiratory tract and then the lower respiratory tract. So the upper respiratory tract is going to include everything from the nose down to the throat. And so if we start with our first slide here, we're going to deal with the external nares. And that is a fancy term for nostrils. So these are my external nares. The hole that actually leads into that opening into your respiratory tract, we call the vestibule. And vestibule basically means like entrance or doorway, and there are other parts of the body where the term vestibule is used. So here, the actual holes in my nostrils, that entrance is called the vestibule. The nasal septum. Septum is a term used in other parts of the body as well, like there's a septum in your heart that separates, for instance, the two ventricles from each other. And in this case, the nasal septum is separating the two sides of your nasal cavity, where your nostrils are, and the nasal conchae. The nasal septum is partially cartilaginous. So right here in blue, this is soft bone. This is cartilage of your nasal septum. And then a little bit further back, a little posterior / slightly superior, you can see that this is bony, the perpendicular plate of the ethmoid bone. That's a good portion of your bony nasal septum, straight back here. And then just inferior to that is the vomer bone, and then the palatine bone is another part of it. So a few different bones make up the bony nasal septum. This particular image is great from Grey's Anatomy. It's a perfect sagittal cross-section straight through the middle of this nasal region. And then, of course, the nasal conchae. If we look at other parts on the sides or lateral to this septum, the nasal conchae are those twists and turns of mostly the ethmoid bone. There are a couple other bones involved, but the ethmoid bone is the majority of that twisty-turny passageways leading air into the body. And along that, you're going to have the production of lots of mucus. So mucus serves many purposes. One of them is catching dirt, catching bad stuff before it gets deeper and causing infections. When you're sick, you're going to produce a lot more mucus, and that makes sense. Upper respiratory tract, number 2. So if we keep looking at this area, the upper part of the respiratory system, the nasal mucosa is mainly in the nasal conchae region. But the reason why I'm listing it here is as you breathe air in and it ends up going down into the throat or the pharynx, the nasal mucosa not only is catching bad stuff, bacteria, viruses, etc., that you're breathing in, it also warms the air and moistens the air. Very important, so it's not as harsh to your lungs. If you think about it, the air in this room right here, and possibly where you're at, on the Celsius scale is probably low 20s, 20 to 22 degrees, Fahrenheit scale, 70 to low 70s. That's room temperature. But your body temperature, Fahrenheit, 98 point something. Some people 98.6, 98.2, what have you. That's a big difference. So when you breathe in air, it warms it. It gets it close to your body temperature, so it's not as harsh to your lungs. And of course, the moistening of air, very important too. You can say that the nasal mucosa humidifies the air, adds moisture to it as you're breathing in. The pharynx, also known as the throat, we can separate into 3 different parts. And here they are from top to bottom, superior to inferior. The nasal pharynx is a part of the throat that's adjacent to that nasal cavity or nasal conchae that you can see here. So here's those, or at least a part of those little twisted turns of the ethmoid bone. And so that nasal pharynx region is a connection where every time you swallow, you're going to get a little bit of mucus drainage. I know it's nasty, but that mucus drainage is going to go down your throat. And that's great in terms of protecting your body. If you're catching bacteria and viruses in the mucus of your nasal cavity, a great way to finally kill it is when you swallow it and it goes down your throat, down your esophagus, in your stomach. The acidity of your stomach is usually enough to destroy those things. The oropharynx, oro coming from oris or mouth, oral, that's the area of the pharynx that's adjacent to the tongue. So this is the tongue, kind of a weird looking tongue, but that's how it looks when you have a sagittal cross section and it's inside your mouth. That's what the tongue looks like. And right here, that's called the soft palate. The most posterior or dorsal part of the palate is actually soft compared to the hard palate. And so the part of the throat that's adjacent to there, as you're eating something, swallowing something, that's going to be passing through there. You also can breathe through the mouth. Really, your nose is meant for that. If you've done a lot of mouth breathing, you've probably noticed that it tends to dry out the mouth over time, and you're also not going to get that really good humidifying of the air that you get with breathing into the nasal region. So that's the oropharynx. And finally, the most inferior part, the laryngopharynx, because the larynx is right there. So here we have, it's kind of like a fork in the road. Posterior passageway here, that is the esophagus. So when you you do drink fluids, swallow, like I just did, swallow food, for instance, it's going to go down the esophagus. This is the larynx, and right here is the epiglottis. That's going, as a flap that's going to close on top of this passageway, so that when you do swallow, you don't want fluid and food going down into your lungs. That can cause you to aspirate and cause you to stop breathing and kill a person. So the laryngopharynx is that lowest part of the throat that's adjacent to the larynx. So when we look at the larynx, there are several parts involved, and that's, this part right here. We say voice box, we're talking larynx, but there's more to it than that. If we start at the most superior part of the larynx, like I mentioned in the previous slide, the epiglottis, which is right above the glottis, that's what epi means, above something. Every time you swallow, the epiglottis flaps down. It's a flap that closes on top of the glottis, and the glottis is the opening into the larynx passageway. Every time you swallow, that epiglottis is supposed to flap down, and the glottis is supposed to close so that fluid and solids are not going into the larynx and trachea, your windpipe into the lungs. And we'll talk more about the glottis in a bit with respect to the vocal folds or vocal cords. The cartilage, there's a lot of cartilage involved with the larynx. Real quick before we move on, the epiglottis is this structure right here. This is a cross-section, looking at the casual cross-section of the larynx. It's like we're looking from the side view. So this is the epiglottis when it's not closed. So every time you swallow, it does close. So this person is not swallowing currently. You can't see the epiglottis in this shot, but if it were raised, you would see it poking out next to what's called the hyoid bone right there. So that would be where the epiglottis is. So the glottis is just inferior to it. And you'll see a picture on the next slide of it. That's right in this region here. The cartilage, lots of cartilage going around, soft bone that's protecting your throat, protecting your airway. The thyroid cartilage is the most prominent one. The Adam's apple, if you've heard of that term, we're referring to what's called the thyroid cartilage. Let's see that in red. So here is the thyroid cartilage. And from that side view, if you were to take a cross-section through it, we're seeing part of the thyroid cartilage right here. So
if you write anything on your computer, you need to get Grammarly.
I write pretty much all day, every day, and Grammarly makes my writing better.
As a student, I like that it's actually correcting everything as I'm writing.
Grammar errors, spelling errors, and even help me find the right words to use so I can say what I want to say.
It catches all those irritable mistakes before I assess.
I've downloaded Grammarly around my freshman year because I was just horrible at typing.
Grammarly is like my secret weapon for writing papers.
It's the perfect tool for your resume. You don't want any errors in your first impression.
I use Grammarly for important emails, social media posts, which there are a lot of.
I've used every tool out there, and Grammarly is by far the best for improving your writing. Grammarly is making me a better writer. I would recommend Grammarly if you're a student, a family,
my peers, my colleagues. It's like having your own personal proofreader for free.
Download Grammarly for free at Grammarly.com. Take a cross-section through it, we're seeing part of the thyroid cartilage right here. So that is that typical-looking Adam's apple that everyone has, not just men. People say, oh, a man has an Adam's apple and a woman typically doesn't. Well, a woman has all these structures as well. But an adult female, because of differences in sex hormones, it's typically not as visible. As a male goes through puberty, the size of the vocal folds and the larynx in general is going to become more visible. The vocal folds especially are going to get broader and larger, and that's going to have an effect on your voice. Your voice tends to drop when you age, go through puberty. And female voice changes a bit too, but not as dramatically in terms of the octave shift. So that thyroid cartilage, a major component protecting the larynx, and that part that's most obvious right here that's sticking out, that's called the laryngeal prominence. It's a very prominent part of the larynx. And then the cricoid cartilage is just inferior to that. That's number 7 here. Here's the cricoid cartilage. Here it is in this view. And between those two cartilages, there's a ligament. This is the ligament right here. This is actually the laryngiohyoid ligament because it's connecting this part of the larynx to the hyoid bone, which I'm going to mention next. So the hyoid bone is an interesting bone because, to my knowledge, it's the only bone that I can think of that does not articulate with any other bones in the body. It is not directly touching any other bones. If you think about how bones work, typically bone is next to bone in a joint, whether it's a fused immovable joint or movable joint. In this case, the hyoid bone is up here, touching right now. And it's held in place by muscles, ligaments, tendons. It's not actually touching any of the bones. It's very close to the mandible, the lower jaw bone, but it's not quite touching. And the purpose of the hyoid bone is once again, like these other things, partially protective, but also it's for anchoring parts of the throat muscles and the tongue that helps with swallowing. So that's the hyoid bone. And then ligaments, sorry, I mentioned some of them, ligaments here, ligaments all over the place. Remember, ligaments connect bone to bone or cartilage to bone. And then the vocal cords. You'll see a better view of the vocal cords on the next slide if you look down into the throat and look at the top of the larynx, like through, let's say, a little camera. As someone is talking, you can see there's slight little vibrations going on, and air is expelled past the vocal cords. So depending on how they vibrate and the structure of those vocal folds, can give you different pitches and different sounds. So sound production. Air passing through the glottis, the open glottis, vibrates the vocal folds and produces sound waves. This is a great view. This is an actual camera shot looking down into someone's, the top of their larynx, through the pharynx. And the glottis is this opening. The epiglottis you can't see in this particular image is actually right in front of it, and it's currently not down because this person is expelling air, this person is talking. When you swallow, the epiglottis does close over this opening. The here's the anterior part. This is the front part. The posterior part is actually down this way. Diameter, length, and tension of these vocal folds, vocal cords, changes the pitch. So here are the vocal folds right here. You know, if we were comparing the average male, average adult female, typically the diameter and length is going to be larger in an adult male compared to female. What we have control over is the tension. Depending on how tense we make them, that's going to change pitch. So if I go, I'm actually changing the tension. I'm making the vocal folds thinner. So if I go, I'm making them wider. And if you play a string instrument or play the piano, you're familiar with this. On a guitar, the particular strings that make the lower pitch notes, those are thicker strings. And those other strings that actually do that higher pitch note there, they're thinner. It's the same with the piano. Remember, piano's hammers and strings, the ones at the far right end, they're going to be thinner than the really low notes. And so that's how it works in terms of making different pitches. And like I said before, in general, adult males have thicker, longer chords compared to female, but there, of course, are exceptions. That's a generalization. Speech, what I'm doing right now, is a combination of phonation, just making sound, and articulation, actually making different types of specific noises and specific manipulations of that sound. So phonation is just the process of expelling air, as I'm exhaling, I'm expelling air past the vocal folds in the glottis region. But articulation is when you take that sound and do everything right now. The movements of the mouth, lips, and tongue are going to manipulate that sound to make a speech that's audible and understandable. So, if I didn't have my tongue, I could not make a wide variety of noises or letter sounds. So a T, when you make a T sound, there's a very specific movement that your tongue has to make to make that T sound. If my tongue wasn't there, I still have the phonation ability, but my articulation would not be there. Trachea. So we're now into the lower respiratory tract. Remember that the upper respiratory tract is from the nose to the pharynx. We just started the lower respiratory tract with the larynx, and we're definitely in the lower parts here. So trachea, if you follow the path of your larynx, right here, I'm actually touching part of the trachea. If I press in, not too much, because I can't something, but if I press in a little bit, I can feel little rings here. And as I'm talking, I can actually feel vibration, air going up here and then through the vocal cords, etc. So the other parts of the trachea you can't feel because it goes behind the manubrium, these parts of the sternum, but you can touch this part. Actually, this is where they do a tracheostomy or tracheotomy to bypass the upper respiratory tract to help someone breathe. We'll talk about that more in a sec. But the trachea is also the windpipe. This is that tube that's getting air into the lungs. It's a tough flexible tube with cartilaginous rings. So you can see those rings, as I mentioned a second ago. I can feel them if I rub right here. Those cartilaginous rings are kind of C-shaped, pointing this way, because the posterior or back portion is really not covered with cartilage in the sense that the anterior portion is. And the reason behind that is if you look at the previous slide, the esophagus is behind it. The esophagus is that tube or liquid tube. That's posterior. So every time you swallow and a chunk or bolus of food is being moved down your esophagus, you want slight flexibility for your trachea to kind of accommodate that. So there's slightly less cartilage in the posterior portion so that there is a little bit more flexibility when you do swallow something. So it is slightly flexible. Not as much as these more posterior parts of the respiratory tree. We're going to get that bit. Respiratory epithelium. So if you watch the previous lessons on the different types of tissues in the body, what epithelium is, a reminder, is those cells that cover the outer surface of an organ or the innermost surface, usually where there's a passageway, a lumen for air, liquids, foods to go through. In this case, air is passing through every time you breathe in, every time you exhale, air is going back and forth. And the rest of the epithelium, if you were to zoom in, see what's going on in the innermost part of the lumen of the trachea and then the lumen of the entire respiratory tree, you would see cells that are filled with cilia. And these cilia look like hairs. It kind of looks like a shag carpet. My grandmother's house, the house she used to live in, had a green shag carpet, very 70s. And really, cilia looks like that. And they're constantly rushing up mucus, constantly. If you didn't have those cilia, any mucus generated down here, up and out, up into the throat, you could drown in the fluids that are produced in the lungs. Every time you have a leaf, that's where that spit is coming from. Yes, some of it is saliva, but we experience that when we have a cough, when we're sick, and there's excess mucus production, we really do notice what the cilia are doing. People who smoke tend to destroy the cilia lining these passageways, and we don't typically destroy them. So when you lose the cilia, you don't get them back. And that's why somebody who's a chronic smoker, smoking for years, is more likely to get pneumonia, an infection associated with basically too much pooling of fluids in the respiratory passageways. But a healthy person is able to get those fluids up and out. And the mucosa here in the trachea resembles that of the more superior structures. The production of mucus here is very similar to what you're going to see in the mucosa of the nasal passageways and then the pharynx. When we go a little bit more inferior, we get to the bronchi and the bronchioles. Bronchioles basically means miniature, tiny bronchi. So this is plural, the word bronchi. A bronchus, we replace the I with the US, is one of them. So here, right here in this picture, is one bronchus. Here's the other bronchus. These are actually called the primary bronchi. Primary bronchus on the right, and this is the left primary bronchus. So there's one for each lung. This is an anterior shot. We're looking through the chest of this person. So even though this is on your left, this is where the right lung is. This is where the left lung is. So right's primary bronchus, left primary bronchus. And it goes in sequence from primary to secondary to tertiary. As I said, this is the primary one. These in here will be your secondary bronchi branching off of it, and then you get to your tertiary bronchi. So it is like a branching tree that's upside down. And they do smaller diameters as you move along, and they have less and less cartilage. By the time you get to what are called the bronchiole, are you sick of flipping pages to learn anatomy? Are you bored of uninspiring atlases and flashcards? KenHub offers you a guided, engaging alternative. Our online platform introduces you to a new, personalized learning experience. By using videos, interactive quizzes, and a great variety of multimedia content, you will easily boost your learning curve. Complex anatomy topics are clarified by using beautiful illustrations, which are verified by experts. Wherever you are, whenever you want, your KenHub anatomy trainer is always available. You decide how much and how fast you want to learn. KenHub measures your success and helps you understand your strengths and weaknesses, so you can constantly improve your knowledge. Say goodbye to ineffective books and flashcards and discover a new learning experience with KenHub. Register now at www.kenhub.com for a free demo. You have less and less cartilage. By the time you get to what are called the bronchioles, which are branching off of all of the tertiary bronchi, you're not going to have any cartilage at all. And then the purpose of that is as you move through and you get less and less cartilage, you're able to expand and contract those passageways more. The cartilage isn't kind of inhibiting it. And that's good in terms of like getting more air or less air into your lungs when the need is there. And yes, smooth muscles are lining the bronchi and bronchioles. Those smooth muscles, especially at the deepest parts, especially at the ends, are going to allow for dilation and contraction of these passageways. The bronchioles, as I said, are like little tinier branches that are coming off of the tertiary bronchi. The tiniest little branches leading to the leaves, and the leaves, where you can see that analogy of a tree, would be the alveoli coming up in the next slide. With the little drawings I'm making here, I'm not even doing it justice. There are so many bronchioles. And like I said before, the cartilage that you see, these little grayish rings, you can see they get reduced and reduced as you get to the tertiary bronchi. When you get to the bronchioles, no cartilage. And you're having a much thinner tube. You've got that respiratory epithelium still in there. And you have a greater degree, percentage-wise, of expansion, relaxation, dilation, and contraction. When I say expansion, relaxation, that's actually two things. It's dilation and contraction or constriction. So here's the proper terms: bronchodilation versus bronchoconstriction. When it comes to manipulating your blood vessels, there's vasodilation and vasoconstriction. So here we just replace that prefix with something that corresponds to the lungs. Bronchodilation is the expansion of bronchioles and other passageways in the lungs, and bronchoconstriction is the opposite. Bronchodilation tends to be associated with the sympathetic branch of the autonomic nervous system. That came out in the nervous system lesson before, that fight or flight response. You want to get more volume of air into your lungs with each breath. When you're relaxed and in the rest and digest or parasympathetic mode, that's going to be more associated with the bronchoconstriction. The alveoli, like I mentioned a moment ago, those are the leads, in a sense, on this respiratory tree. And they're the air sacs within the lungs. It's like the final destination for the air flowing through your respiratory tree. So these air sacs, this is a nice animation of what they look like. Here's a little alveolar bundle, and each of these is an alveolus. This little sphere, alveolus, alveolus, alveolus. They are one cell thick, so if you take a cross-section through one of these microscopic air sacs, you will see that they're all just surrounded by one cell thick. So here's one cell with a nucleus, one cell. That's a single alveolus, and inside there, that's the lumen. That is the space where air can travel into. And this is made of simple squamous epithelium, which came up in that tissue lesson from before. Just like capillaries, the smallest blood vessels of your body, being one cell thick, these are also one cell thick. And this is very interesting, right? When you look at the red and the blue, that's a capillary network surrounding the alveolar bundles. And it's great that air only has to pass through two cells. It passes through the cells of the simple squamous epithelium around this alveolus, and then it goes into the capillary. And then the wall of that capillary is also simple squamous epithelium, and so you have very adequate diffusion. If it was like 10 cells thick, it would be harder for air to travel through. It wouldn't happen as quickly and as efficiently. Each lung has approximately 150 million alveoli, so about 300 million alveoli in your lungs as a whole. That's amazing to think about. And these are very tiny air sacs. People who tend to smoke tend to damage these little borders of the alveoli. They tend to pop them and make the holes bigger, the spaces bigger in their spongy lungs. And you might think, well, if they make the spaces bigger, oh, that's great, then they can get more air in there. It doesn't work that way. You want to have a large surface area, meaning having lots of different tiny bubbles or tiny alveoli is going to make it more efficient for getting a lot of air into your bloodstream rather than having bigger holes. So that surface area is very important. I read that if, this is an approximation, if you take all the alveolar parts, all the alveolar membranes, the simple squamous epithelium, and if you were to take them out of our body and lay them out as little tiles, it would cover a tennis court. That's amazing to think about, that tissue is in your lungs. So like I said before, every alveolar bundle is surrounded by a capillary network, which you see in this picture. That capillary network is getting oxygen into the bloodstream and getting CO2, carbon dioxide, into the alveoli for expiration or exhalation in the body. Also, you see these little green lines? The green part is the lymphatic vessel, lymphatic tissue, which has to do with protecting your body, your immune system. So you do have this great kind of security checkpoint, in a sense, cells that eat up bacteria and viruses, you would see them kind of patrolling along and sitting there waiting for something to come by and eating it up. So people with an adequate immune system, a strong immune system, are going to do a great job with their lymphatic tissues here, kind of screening the air, kind of getting rid of that bad stuff that's coming in. Surfactant is the last thing I want to mention with respect to these alveolar bundles. Surfactant is a chemical that's a combination of phospholipids and protein and